Welcome to episode 1 of our brand new podcast.
New podcast, Elopements. I forgot what the name was for a second. Elopements with the Pinckards.
Yeah, really good brand representation there.
Yeah. Welcome to Elopements with the Pinckards, our show to share our elopement expertise with couples who are thinking about eloping or might be right in the middle of planning their own elopement. My name is Dan Pinckards and my beautiful wife Laura is my co-host. Our hope is that sharing our experiences will make this process less stressful for you, so let's jump right into this week's episode. We are elopement photographers.
We're the Pinckards.
Yeah, and we are the Pinckards. I am Dan. This is
Laura.
This is
Laura.
Laura.
You're pointing at me, but they can't see if they're listening.
Some people can
podcast.
if they're watching
true.
on YouTube.
That's true. I said if they're listening to this podcast.
So we are the Pinckards. We do elopements for a living, and some weddings, but elopements are really our thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
got a
fuzz in my hair.
Fuzz in your hair. Yeah, I got it.
And so we wanted to start this podcast just to kind of give some insight into elopements, because a lot of people don't know anything about elopements. Like it's not like us where we do them all the time. We're at them all the time.
Yeah. Plus, if you've done an elopement, that means that you've already gotten married. So you don't really have questions.
That's
after
the
you
thing.
elope.
It's like most people haven't been to an elopement because you probably weren't invited to the elopement. It's an elopement, you know?
Yeah.
That's not always the case. Some elopements have guests, and we'll talk about that in some of these episodes.
Stay tuned, guys, because we got a lot of
content coming
answering questions. And that's the thing too, is like a lot of these podcast episodes are just going to be based off of the countless questions that we get from potential clients and even current clients.
Just people on Instagram too.
Oh yeah. Like, DMs on Instagram.
Which if you have a question about elopements, follow us on Instagram, DM us, and we'd love to feature your question and answer your question on the podcast.
Yep. Our Instagram is the Pinckards.
Yeah, at the Pinckards.
Yeah, that's it. So, but
Pinckards is Pinckard,
and it's Pinckards, not
Picknard.
What did our wedding DJ say? Picknard.
Pickard.
Yeah, it was Pickard.
He said, I think
happy
he said,
to be the first
my pleasure
to
be the first one to introduce to you Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Pinckards.
Well, he truly was the first ever to introduce us as Mr. and Mrs. Pinckards.
As
Mr.
Mr. and Mrs. Yeah. I have been introduced my whole life as
my maiden name
things.
Was Adams, so no one ever got it
Adams.
wrong. No, literally no one ever got it wrong. It's like the easiest last name, and then I went to Pinckards. Dan.
Yep.
Anyways, that's us.
It's a difficult name, but we have it, we live with it, and it's our brand name now. So
that's the one we got.
Yeah. So we wanted to start off this first episode just kind of sharing a little bit about us, about
how we fell in love.
That was weird.
Yeah. And yet we're gonna keep it in there.
I'm probably not gonna cut it out, but it was weird. I apologize.
But it's weird because it's in a podcast, but that's very much how you are in real life. So I don't know if that's a compliment or if that's, I mean, I still love you. So take it how you will,
okay.
You know?
Well, I'll take that.
Yeah. So let's talk about how we met, Dan.
So first thing, how we met.
Gym class.
College. We were in college, freshman year
required.
In college. We had a required PE gym class.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it was unique. So we were...
It was unique.
Yeah. The thing that I remember the most vividly was playing soccer and us being on different teams, and we both played soccer in high school.
Yeah.
And so we were a little competitive.
That's not why I'm competitive though. I'm just competitive in general.
Yeah, you are.
It just helps that I played in high school so that I'm actually good and can be competitive instead of just being mad and losing.
But we were two of the people. There were not many who were in that PE class who actually played soccer at some point. And so you and I tended to be the more competitive ones of the group
true.
Because we were actually taking it seriously because we like soccer.
Right. It was also kind of flirting though. Like I wanted to win, but I want to beat your butt and you'd be like, wow, who's this girl that just beat the crap out of you in soccer?
Wow, she's so impressive.
She's so good. Oh, wow. Who is that? What's her name?
She's so good at defense.
Hey.
I was on offense. You were on defense.
Yeah, but I can be on offense sometimes. But yeah, defense. Anyways, that's besides the point.
So that's how we met. We were in college together. We actually went to a Bible college which some people are like, Bible college, like what's that?
I'm like, Bible college, what's that?
It essentially was just studying the Bible for it's a 2-year program, so freshman and sophomore year, and it's accredited, so we're getting college credits. Which
doesn't matter anymore because we run our own business.
Yeah, and it's like who needs a degree when you're running your own business? But it was real college. We were studying the Bible, and that's how we met. That's where Laura's parents actually met. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of fun, just like full circle there for her family.
We got engaged in the Czech Republic in Prague, which is where I grew up. Not Prague, just the Czech Republic. Yeah. I'm not Czech, but that's where I grew up. And so we were there for a summer with the college, and I kind of knew he was going to propose in Prague just because, like, if he didn't, that would be stupid. You're missing an opportunity of the most beautiful city where I grew up.
We were going to go to Prague multiple times. True. You didn't know which time I was going to propose. So there was some element of
surprise.
Yeah, uncertainty there.
Right.
But yeah, so we spent a summer in the Czech Republic. I proposed in Prague. And
I said no.
No, you didn't. But you did post on Facebook, I guess, with a picture.
Yeah, it was just a caption. I said, I guess. And then some people were confused.
They were like,
what do you mean, I guess? I was like,
it's a joke.
The sarcasm just goes over their head. But
yeah, so it kind of getting into the next question, which the next question is, how did we get into photography? Mm-hmm. So when I was planning on proposing in the Czech Republic, before we left for the summer, before we went to the Czech Republic, I bought a nice-ish camera.
I thought you were going to say ring. I was like, no, I love my ring. I bought a nice-ish ring.
I did buy a ring. It wasn't a good ring at all.
No, it is. I love my ring.
I bought a ring, and I also bought a camera. And the point was, Laura's sister, Ashley, shout out Ashley.
Hey, Ash, you better be listening to this podcast.
Who apparently didn't like me at that point.
No, she liked you when we were about to get engaged. Okay. She didn't like you when...
There was some point where she didn't like me.
It was before we were dating. It was when I brought you home to meet my family, and you were...
No, I think it was
I think you were just intimidated by Ashley's sarcasm, which made her think that you didn't like her. Because you were scared of her.
All you were scared of her. I found out after we were married for like a year that she didn't like me for a long time.
I feel like I almost found out about that. Like, I never thought that she didn't like you. I thought that she was just being like goofy, but I guess she just didn't like you. Nice, Ash.
But anyway, shout out to Ashley
for hating Dan. And her @ on Instagram
this is our new podcast, Trash on Ashley.
Trash on Ash. Oh my gosh. Wait. Podcast? Sorry, Ash.
We could have her as a guest.
We would just interview her for the whole podcast.
Insult her the whole time.
Yeah, I love that. All right, anyways.
So I bought this camera so that Ashley could take pictures when I proposed. So we had this plan worked out. I was going to give her a signal, and she was going to be ready to take pictures.
What was the signal? Was it like blowing your nose or something?
I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. There was something specific I was going to say.
Lovely weather we are having.
And lovely weather. Yeah, that's it.
Actually, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was. You remember me saying that?
Yeah. No, I have no idea. Yeah, no. Maybe Ashley would remember.
I think it was something just super simple, like, hey, Ashley, would you be able to take pictures of us?
No, yeah, you're right, because you guys kept trying to get me to take pictures in these dumb places in Prague. I'm like, I'm not taking pictures here, because I was kind of oblivious to that you were trying to propose. My bad.
Yeah. So that was actually the first it was the first DSLR camera that we bought. Mm-hmm. So I bought it for our engagement. And then as we were engaged, and then when we got married, we were just like messing around with it. I was learning all the technical aspects. You were getting creative with it. Mm-hmm. And it was a good combination because I learned the ins and outs of the technology and the settings and everything. And you just were thriving, like being creative. And that's similar to how we are right now.
Well, basically I would just ask you questions that you'd already learned. So yeah. I didn't want to do any of like the watching videos or figuring it out. I would just learn from what you learned. And then
I watched a lot of like Gerald Undone. If you look up his YouTube videos, they're like super technical photography videos. So we both got into photography just kind of like gradually
being in love.
It was part of our relationship, so that was the start of it, and it just grew from there.
Yeah, I just was like messing around with it, taking pictures of my dog. Then I eventually just started doing like free shoots, like headshots, and then I got into doing shoots for friends who were couples. So I just kind of started slowly building my portfolio of just like friends and stuff. And then got to the point where I quit my job. I was working an office job at said Bible college.
Yeah.
Hated it. Terrible.
It's actually like a large international nonprofit.
Yeah.
We both worked there. And so you quit. You had a job that just did not fit you well. I had a job that didn't fit me well.
Yeah. And by not fit you well, also like they just throw students that graduate into jobs that don't fit them well. So
it kind of was like, I don't want to say it was one person's fault, but it was just a bad job situation. So Laura quit her job and then
started doing photography full time while you were
I was still working there, and then a while,
right?
I was in marketing, and then I was doing marketing for the fundraising department, and so long story short, we ended up eventually I joined Laura full time, and here we are now. We started really thriving and growing our business, and
and I think part of that, I'll give you creds, was I am the very artistic type where I just love making art. I love
and you're very good at it.
Thanks, Dan. I love connecting with people through photography.
Whenever we have phone calls, I have phone calls with potential clients, and they're like, "I love your work so much." I'm like, I can't take any credit for this. It's all Laura.
Thanks, Dan. But to what you were saying about thriving is I was doing really well on my own because also Dan was helping me while he was also working full time. But when he started working with me full time, he had more time to devote to marketing and to emails. Now we don't answer emails because we have an assistant. She's amazing. Hi, Rach.
I still do email.
Well, but not what Rachel does.
Not to the extent that I used to have.
But what my point is, before you interrupted me,
so sorry.
Yeah, I could tell. Was that we really did start to grow a lot more because Dan was with me 24/7 doing marketing stuff. I had more energy to run our social media, more encouragement to do that. So we just started like diving full force into it once you actually came on full time.
And marketing is what I studied in college after Bible college. I studied marketing. I've even outside of college, I've taken a lot of courses in marketing.
You probably know more than the professors that are teaching the old marketing classes.
Yeah, honestly, I've learned more outside of college.
They just don't change it, and marketing changes so quickly that it's like, how can you?
Well, that's the problem when somebody's teaching something for 20 years and they're still teaching the same
stuck in
topic.
The same thing.
Marketing, there are some marketing principles, like I took courses in marketing psychology, understanding consumer behavior.
Are you a psychologist?
Basically. I probably have my doctorate in psychology.
You just don't know.
But courses like that made sense. But when it actually came to marketing strategy and tactics, it's changed so much. I was learning about print advertising, which is not the most practical way to advertise.
I throw away stuff that we get from marketing stuff that it's printed out. Like
direct mail, it still is a thing, but it's not the all that to say, I studied.
That's how we got into photography.
Yeah, I studied marketing, and then I started doing that full time with you.
Right. So then that kind of leads into what our wedding was like. So we met, we got engaged, kind of got into photography. And then, Dan, why don't you tell the folks listening at home what our wedding was like? And I will be interjecting because I'm very...
Yeah. Oh, you will definitely be interjecting. You could not
Should
help
I raise my hand when I want to interrupt you?
Maybe. That'd be funny. With that. Should we do that?
Because then you're just going to look at me and not let me. So I'll just interrupt you anyways. But you can start. Go ahead. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Our wedding was... We enjoyed our wedding. I'm going to start by saying we did have a fun time at our wedding. But, however...
I raise my hand. I agree.
However... We did have a large 200-person wedding. A lot of people we loved there. A lot of people that we have not talked to since our wedding day.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people there. There were some people who attended our wedding or didn't attend our wedding who had opinions that they made sure we knew about. They gave us their thoughts. They told us what they wanted from us, and they weren't happy when we didn't do things their way. And so that was stressful. There were there were other elements too that we just like, most of the people at our wedding, we didn't really even get to talk to other than, hey, thanks for being here. Bye.
Yeah. Like thanks for driving 5 hours, but I only get to talk to you for 30 seconds basically.
And so there were just a lot of things, and it was a production, you know, we had a wedding like day of coordinator who was great, but she was like things have to move along. Like this is what we have to do. And that's what you have to do at a wedding because it is a production.
Right. There's nothing that happened that wasn't just what traditional weddings are. It wasn't like, oh, our wedding was so crazy because of this and this. It's just like, this is how traditional weddings are. Except.
There was one thing that happened that shouldn't happen at traditional weddings. And that was our photographer. That is when your wedding photographer sucks. Yeah. So we hired a family friend, one of Laura's family friends, to do the photography for our wedding. It was inexpensive. He was very cheap. And that was our first mistake. Well, no, second mistake. First mistake, family friend. Second mistake, inexpensive. So
it was an all around mistake.
Yeah, there's just big mistakes. So our photographer, he shows up, he's doing everything right as far as like we can tell on our wedding day. Like there's nothing really wrong on the wedding day.
Nope. It was like he wasn't even there at that point. Like I was just, he was in the background, like he wasn't distracting.
He took
it was
our
fine.
Rings, took pictures of the rings, the dress.
I barely even thought about him the whole wedding.
Throughout the whole day. Yeah. Nothing really stood out on the wedding day. However, after the wedding day, first of all, it took us a while to get the pictures back. Looking back, it probably wasn't. Now that we're in the industry, we know like how long it takes to edit.
Right.
It probably.
Well, the issue was he wasn't really in the industry. Like he had done a few family friends of his weddings, and that is what he used as his.
And there was no communication about So it felt like a long time. It really, in hindsight, it wasn't that long.
But it was long for what we got back.
Yes. And that's where it really gets, the tea is really spilled.
The tea is hot.
Yeah.
And it's been hot for 4 years. It's literally 4 years ago. When we got our wedding photos, when we got our wedding photos back, I had this pit in my stomach. Like I almost started crying, but I didn't because I was just trying, like Dan said, we had really like a good time at our wedding aside from what we mentioned, but I was just trying to remember like my dad walking me down the aisle, my first dance with my dad and first dance with Dan, getting to see my grandpa. He prayed at our wedding and we loved our pastor who officiated for us. We danced with all of our friends on the dance floor. Like it was great. We, and you did the conga line.
I did the conga line.
And my first dance
and the first dance with you and my mom, and that's it.
But so
I might have done this a little bit.
The fist pump.
Yeah.
So we get our photos back, and can I find it? Is that going to take too long?
Yeah, that'll take too long.
Okay, well, I'll pull it up later and maybe confirm it in another episode or something. I don't know. But we basically, from what I'm remembering, got 107 photos back from our 8+ hour wedding. Was it more than 8 hours?
It was probably about 8 hours. It was a fairly standard wedding. That's a standard amount of time for a photographer to be there.
107 photos back. 7 of them, I believe I counted when we got them back, were our portraits of just Dan and I. There were only 7 photos of us together.
Like that. Yeah, approximately 7.
And 2 of the random photos in there were of the second shooter that he brought with him. He just like took these weird photos of him.
One of them was him making a weird face.
And then he delivered that.
I almost felt like he accidentally delivered the like do not send he had 2 folders.
Yeah,
like,
maybe he just didn't know he sent us like the ones he was supposed to delete because that's what it felt like. And it was so sad. And
it's like when you're going through Lightroom and you can flag ones like with a positive flag and a negative flag. It's like
those are all the ones that he just blurred out and accidentally sent to us. But it wasn't an accident because we never got any photos back after that. Like that was it. 107 photos, 7 of them of us. All of the angles of us are terrible. Like he took them from the ground up. So like where I'm looking down at him, and
which there's a time for that. Like there are sometimes like I'll take behind the scenes shots of you and you can see you like laying on the ground and it's funny.
Right. But the reason I'm doing that is to get a cool shot, not to get me staring down at him, like smiling. Like,
it was, they were weird. And it was like, I think it was a long angle. like a wide angle lens.
Must have, because I look weird.
Our legs, like it made our torsos and legs look long and like a small head or something.
I don't know how to explain it, but and then it wasn't even about like artistic editing style preference at that point, because at that point I didn't really have one and I didn't really think about it. It just didn't look like he edited them at all. It wasn't like, oh, I don't like this edit. It's like, did he edit?
It looked like the only thing that was edited was making sure that the exposure was correct.
Which like he probably did in like camera, like at our wedding.
It easily could have just been he happened to get the exposure right in camera for every shot.
I was so sad.
It really did not look like the photos were edited at all. Mm-mm. And so it was like... Even
poorly edited. They just like weren't edited.
Yeah. So it was really disappointing. That was a very frustrating aspect. So there were kind of two things with our wedding that really... Then getting into the next question.
Mm-hmm. Why we love elopements.
Yeah, which is the next question that we're going to talk about is why we love elopements. Mm-hmm. And this is really the driving factor. One is our wedding. We felt like it was more about the day, about the event, the production, than it was about us just enjoying and celebrating getting married.
Or it was about like what other people wanted, what family members wanted, what guests want. Oh, do guests want this kind of food? Like, why do I care? It's like they're coming to celebrate me. Why do I care if someone's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, why is it like a party for other people when it's about you getting married? So that was the first thing that we're like,
and everything is like, you gotta make sure everything's running on time because there are people waiting on you and just yada, yada, yada.
It's very all stressful.
About the production for other people.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then the photography aspect, which we don't have to get even deeper into that because I think
I don't know if I can without like...
without crying.
Not even crying, just like yelling, saying the same thing over and over again because I'm so ticked. Yeah. But that is one of the reasons that we initially even became wedding photographers is because we had such a terrible experience with ours that I was like, I never want anyone to feel that way about their photos. Like it wasn't even just like, oh, I hated like 20 of them. Like all of them were terrible. So
the one that you really liked was a picture of your first look with your dad.
And the only reason I liked that is because
it's sentimental.
Yeah, like there was nothing, the angle was weird and there was nothing like special about it. He didn't edit or anything. It was just like, I'm happy to have that one photo of me and my dad because at least I have that memory. It's not like I'm going to post that anywhere because it's not a good photo. It's just something I can have. Yeah. So the whole reason why we were really passionate about weddings in the beginning, before we were even passionate about elopements, was because we had such terrible experience with our photographer and we wanted to do everything opposite that he did. We over communicate, we over deliver, we take our time with editing.
For an 8-hour wedding, Laura usually delivers almost 1,000 pictures. Yeah, sometimes maybe even over 1,000.
Probably.
So 10 times as many as we got. So the driving factor for why we got into elopements, that was kind of like a big thing with us being photographers in general, wedding photographers. And then we got into elopements because in combined with the fact that we had that experience at our wedding, we started seeing such a trend of that being like our experience, not enjoying our wedding, but really wishing there was something different about it. We started seeing that trend with other couples as we took pictures of their weddings. And so it was kind of a gradual process that we were like, you know what, let's start doing elopements. Let's focus more on elopements. Let's start pretty much only doing elopements.
Yeah. And it's also like, I feel like I can care more for clients when it's elopements. Cause like you said, with a wedding day, it's very much about the timeline and we only have 15 minutes for this and 30 minutes for portraits and we can't go over and stuff like that. Not even just about pictures, but just like sometimes the bride doesn't eat. Sometimes they don't get, like you said, don't get to say hi to any of the friends that came to the wedding and stuff. So with elopements, we were noticing more and more that we can devote all of our attention to our clients. We can figure out if they're, initially camera shy or if they want to do something really fun and cool. We're not restricted by time, because we just go with the flow on elopements. So it was just very much a gradual change, but very much based in our experience of our own wedding and kind of wishing, like you said, that something could have been different.
Yeah. With a wedding, as photographers, you're really just a cog in a machine, like there's really nothing you can do to make the day. I mean, you can make the day worse. You can kind of like, you
That's
can be
true.
an encouragement and kind of make the day better in that sense. And just like hanging out and being stress-free and stuff like that. But you really don't have much control over making sure that the couple is really enjoying their day. And that was something where we were really passionate about, just because of like the background that we're coming from with our wedding, our photographer. So we got into elopements kind of slowly. And why do we love elopements? Like, what is the thing about elopements that makes us love them?
That's a good question, Dan. Well, I think we kind of already answered that, but just to kind of summarize it a little bit, we hated that weddings were about the production and like almost never fully about the couple. It was always what their mother-in-law wanted, what colors they wanted, how much they had to spend. Oh, we're buying the open bar, so you have to do this and this and this. Or
I love that one. Oh, we're paying for this, so you have to do this.
Yeah. So I think the thing that we love about elopements is that you can do whatever you want with an elopement. It's should always be about the couple if they're planning their elopement based on like not wanting it to be this big production. And we just get to be more one-on-one with the clients. Like we truly try to make it always about the clients. And I think that's what we love most about it. It's really laid back. Yeah. It's not stressful.
All the time when we're at an elopement, we'll ask the couple, what would be most enjoyable for you right now? Like, do you want to just relax? Do you want to take a minute to do you want to just have a drink and like screw the timeline? Like, you know, like
I think we've said screw the timeline more than we have like, oh, we only have 5 more minutes left in your contract. Like we don't give a crap about that.
Yeah. We've never had to have that kind of conversation. No. And that's something wedding photographers have all the time is like, you booked us for 7 hours and we're going on it right now. It's 6 hours and 55 minutes. If in 5 more minutes we're leaving, or you have to pay us another $500.
And people will actually like go up to the bride and groom and say that to them on their wedding day. Like how tacky can you be? Like I get like wanting to get paid for your time, but to do that the day of the wedding, be like, I'm leaving right now unless you like are going to pay me. Like what?
If you're going to do that, you should at least have that done, have that communicated beforehand. Like
so that you don't even have to go up to them the day of and talk to them. Like,
but ultimately, an elopement, the big difference is an elopement is focused on the couple enjoying their wedding day. You know, one of the most important days of their life, like they're getting married to the person they love. It's for better or for worse till death do them part.
Well, and it's also about their marriage. Like you said, it's about them. But the whole reason to get married is because you want to be married and you want to have a good marriage and you want to start it off well. Like, it just boggles my mind how many people make other people's weddings about themselves when it's like, you do realize that they're getting married because they're getting married, not because you want an open bar and like free food and stuff.
Yeah, or you want your kids to be at the wedding.
Yeah,
or,
like what?
So many different things that people like impose expectations or requirements that they impose on couples for their wedding days. And it's honestly, it's just so insane.
Maddening.
It's ridiculous.
It's maddening.
So yeah, it honestly does it makes us angry even.
It makes me more mad than all of like not getting my wedding photos back.
Yeah, we've talked to some of our clients who were planning an actual wedding, and the reason they changed, the reason they switched to an elopement is because of people who were expecting something or trying to get something out of them for their wedding day. And it just makes us so mad. So that's really why we love elopements, is because it's focused on the couple. It's focused on their marriage. It's not about a production.
It's not even about the photos.
It's not.
Like we love giving great photos, but it's because like they should be great because we're taking pictures of what you love doing, not because
like it's photos capturing how much you enjoy your day. But yeah, a lot of the people that we've talked to that had an actual wedding actually say, I wish I eloped. They'll say like, this was not enjoyable. I did not enjoy my day. It was stressful. Whereas eloping clients, people that have eloped have said, this was the best day of my life.
We've never had a client tell us that they regret eloping.
Yeah. So that's why we love eloping. That's why we love elopements.
We love eloping.
We love eloping. We do it over and over.
Yeah. We just get married all the time.
We love elopements, and that's why we do what we do. We're passionate about it. And the saying, like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's kind of bullcrap, though.
It's bullcrap, but
because if you love what you do, you want to work. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I'm saying it's bullcrap.
Like a famous.
It is
some famous person.
I reworded it to be what I want, but it's probably
I think there is some truth though in if you find meaning in what you do, it's a lot easier to do that work. It's a lot easier to be happy and content and do it long term.
Well, and it's also like some people do this for money and stuff too. Like, oh, I'm only gonna like take the weddings or the elopements that give me the most money, and then it's great making money. Like we all like making money, but the reason that we are in the photography business is to be what we wish we had on our wedding, which isn't about money. It's about the experience for other people. And when we get paid, that's awesome. But that's not the driving factor.
Getting paid for something you're passionate about.
Right. But it's not the driving factor of what we do. So
that is really all that we have time for in this episode. We will be releasing new episodes every week. So if you are thinking about eloping, if you are eloping, you're planning an elopement, or you just for some reason like our personalities and want to keep listening, then
we're sorry.
Yeah, then we're sorry. You need to reevaluate your priorities. But go ahead and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are listening on, and give us a follow on social media. Just the Pinckards, wherever: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah, TikTok. If you're on TikTok, come on over.
And we will call it quits there for the first episode.
Our first ever episode. Wow, good for us.
Good for us. All right, well, we will catch you guys.
It, Dan.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
All right,
Joe.
Catch you on the flippity.